I got an email on Wednesday from a guy who said one of his friends doesn't believe there's any argy-bargy going on in schools. He doesn't believe black people are responsible for it. He doesn't believe the teachers are talking about it. And he doesn't believe everybody's in denial about it. He said, well, could you give me a video of one of those, a clip of one of those videos? So, well, that seems like a good idea to recap it. So on Thursday on a podcast, we just took a lot of these clips and the audio, put them all together. The teachers talking about the ridiculous level of mayhem, chaos, and violence in the schools. The parents talking about it. The students talking about it. People getting hurt. Nobody's learning. I mean, I don't see how it could be any worse. I may have spoken too soon. Because no sooner did I post the podcast on Thursday than these three stories came out. All about the fellas, all about the schools, all about kids of school age.
A middle schooler busted, accused of body slamming a female teacher.
Why did he do it? I don't know why.
Now, he's trading in class for court.
That 8th grader getting a lesson in the law after this painful attack. The night team's Franklin White is live in Lauderdale Lakes with this exclusive. Franklin.
Belkey students say it first began as a small argument and quickly blew up. Now a student is facing a felony charge and his teacher is shaken up and recovering.
A teacher? Not another student, a teacher.
Lauderdale Lakes middle school parents in complete shock learning a 14-year-old male student body slammed his female science teacher.
Not here. Not here.
This is him, Joshua Reed, an 8th grader, sitting in juvenile court Wednesday, busted and now facing serious consequences.
He has to be punished for it.
And the attack happened on a Tuesday. Students say they got into an argument over a cell phone, and within seconds, they say the argument escalated. According to the affidavit dated March 6th, the student, now charged with a felony, picked the victim up in the air and took her to the floor aggressively, causing minor injury to the victim.
That's ridiculous. You come here to learn. I mean, this is an exceptional school right here.
He knew right from wrong. Why did he do it? I don't know why.
Students, some who didn't want to show their face, say the chaos and the commotion was frightening.
When I first came over there, I didn't know where she was. I was looking for her, and I was really scared for her.
As for school parents, they say they're praying for the teacher's speedy recovery and hoping school violence of all kinds comes to an end.
You hit an adult. I know that parents didn't raise this child like that, so where is it coming from? Anger?
You listen, follow instruction. This is the advice we need to give our kids.
The investigation is still ongoing. The Broward Teachers Union speaking on the teacher's behalf. They say she is recovering and will not return back to school this week.
Now this is weird because this is Youngstown, Ohio, this next story. They have something there called something like an academic distress commission or something like that. And in Youngstown, lots of teachers got up and said, listen, in our district, they don't say this, but their district is like 70% black. The teacher who spoke, her class is 85% black. And so they got up and said, listen, our classrooms are just one ridiculous level of violence and chaos every single day. People stealing stuff from my purse, people stealing stuff I bring to class, and there are no consequences. You know, prison to cradle to prison pipeline, anybody?
Tonight's meeting of Youngstown's Academic Distress Commission started with the swearing in of a new member. John Richard is the Deputy Superintendent of the Ohio Department of Education. He briefly served on the commission previously. That meant there were 3 commissioners at the meeting, following the resignations of 3 others.
CEO Chris Mohip also highlighted some of the progress the system has made. He spent an extra $8 million this year, but is expecting a $16 million surplus by 2020. Most grade levels have been curriculum mapped, meaning they're teaching the same things throughout the school system. And every teacher has gone through professional development.
But the highlight of the meeting were the comments made by several Youngstown teachers.
One in particular has major discipline problems with the students in her school. Frustrated with behavior is our top story at 10. 75% of the 150 people at tonight's Academic Distress Commission meeting were Youngstown City school teachers. But it was 5th grade Harding Elementary math teacher Tana Sebrel who produced the most reaction.
If we cannot figure out how to get our kids to stop swearing at their faculty, stealing from their faculty, shoving each other, it doesn't matter what I do.
Tana Sebrel has 2 master's degrees and also teaches at Youngstown State. It's her first year in the Youngstown schools, so she bought supplies, and when she took time off,
the kids that have no self-control and know there's no consequences opened up my box of supplies and stole them.
Sebrel wants defined consequences for students who misbehave and for their parents. She says 75% of her students are failing because 25% are creating problems.
Because I, for one, am tired of thinking, maybe if this one shoves me down today, they'll actually take them out so that I can teach the rest of them.
CEO Krish Mohip said when he arrived, Youngstown was suspending 10 times the students of any district in Ohio. So policies were implemented to resolve conflict.
We tried, and we're continuing to refine the work that we do, but that takes time.
But Tana Sebrel may have run out of time. At one point during her comments, some in the audience stood and applauded.
If we do not hold our kids accountable now, it doesn't matter if we educate them, because they cannot practice self-management and self-control.
Now, there were other teachers that spoke. One wants music brought back to the middle schools. Another says she's overwhelmed with the influx of Spanish-speaking students from Puerto Rico. One parent wondered why East High's band has no uniforms.
But they start this story off the way we start off a lot of stories, the way we see a lot of stories started off on this channel. You have this really, really terrible story about these really ridiculous things happening in schools or in the streets, and the reporters come out and go, oh yeah, we have a story from Youngstown schools today. Everything's getting better. And then they tell you how it's all getting better, which is the same story they've been telling every month for the last 10 years. But then when they get to to start with the good news, then they get to the real news, which is, oh yeah, our schools have a ridiculous level of crime, violence, and mayhem, and it's a black thing. So just pretend you didn't hear that. I don't know what the occasion is down in Washington, D.C., but they seem to have ramped up their efforts or their skills or their willingness to arrest some of the fellas who are being charged with robberies in Washington, D.C. Pretty normal stuff. Couple of fellas walk up to a white guy, steal his purse, steal his wallet, steal his cell phone. Lovely ladies are involved in there too. Okay. I guess the only reason it's news in Washington is they got a whole bunch of them, over a couple-day period. But what to me was interesting in this story were the comments. So you go to the comments, and a lot of people. The first comment in the story is, "I didn't do nothing." I mean, that's the thing we say around here a lot. So our readers are everywhere. But you get a lot of, whenever you do any kind of crime story in D.C., you always get preemptive pushback from the people who live there, saying, "Oh no, that's not a black thing. That's just a thing. Just because all the criminals in D.C. are black, that doesn't really have anything to do with anything." A lot of people who read our material and watch our videos, they like to go on the Washington Post and they like to remind people that this was an Obama thing, this sympathy for criminality, this willingness to excuse black violence, mayhem, and chaos as just a product of white racism. And then somebody said that, and the reply was, "Do you have an example of Obama defending any criminals? Or is this just your way of saying the criminals are black?" And the guy had like a million examples. How about, if I had a son, he would be like him, criminal. Remember that? If a pack of teenagers were robbing black people, it would be all over CNN 24 hours a day. There would be marches, sit-ins, and stars would make statements. Think about that. We don't have to use the hypothetical there, right? I mean, do large groups of white people go around attacking black people? No. But when there is something like somebody leaves a banana on a floor, somebody leaves a shoelace in a dormitory that looks like a noose, I mean, we know what happens there. We know there are marches. We know there are articles. We know there are national news stories. So we don't have to do the hypothetical. Because when we do the hypothetical, it's not persuasive. We have to present facts. If we don't have facts, then we don't have anything. We don't have a story. But we have so many stories. That's why I don't understand why people go to the hypothetical. Agreed, it's a bit lazy to do the hypothetical. Just writing something is easier than going, well, I guess I should go look up. I should take 2 minutes to Google what happens when a white person is accused of attacking a black person in any way, shape, or form. Yes, we hear about it all over the country. But my favorite reply came came right after that. This is from Prince Busta 21 in the Washington Post. What total racist crap, she said, replying to the guy who said these robberies are a black thing. Nothing in this article mentions race. Newsflash, idiot. Plenty of white teens rob people in this country. There just aren't many poor white teens in D.C. Some people like you really suck. Okay, well, if you get me a city. I mean, San Diego, that's probably almost the demographics in San Diego are probably almost the opposite of Washington, D.C., or at least they were. Lots and lots of white people, lots of Hispanics, lots of Asians, and then far fewer black people. If there's any place in the country where, roving bands of white people would be robbing people, it would be Southern California. Lots of white towns in Southern California. I just don't remember anything like this happening. So you misstate a fact. Oh yeah, sorry, that's kind of a polite way of saying you lie. So you lie your butt off about something, then before you hope anybody realizes you're lying your butt off, you call them a name and get the hell out of there. Hit and run. Got it. That's one way of not making the black kids angry.